Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Drew back again with another video for all you American soccer fans out there. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the problem U.S. men's national team has in terms of striker, or the striker problem as the thumbnail and title have stated. So if you have been subscribed to the channel, which if you're not, definitely subscribe down below. If you love U.S. soccer and you want to see it grow here in America, you know that's part of the reason this channel exists. So if you are a fan of this channel, you know that I posted a video recently talking about the goalkeeper problem that the national team has, and I think it's time to also talk about the striker problem. Quick shout out here to Mario L, who left a comment on my goalkeeper problem video, who really just opened my eyes that we actually in fact do have a striker problem as well. So thanks for the video topic, bro. I know you've been waiting for it. Well, guess what? It's finally here. I hope I do it justice. Now, without further ado, let's just get right to it. USA. Giant striker problem. Probably a problem that many people are more aware of than the goalkeeper problem, which if you haven't checked that video out, definitely try your best to go ahead and check that video out. I will leave the details on that down below in the description section. But I think the striker problem is a bigger issue for the national team because, to win games, you need to score goals. And I feel like the strikers we have right now, as of more recent, teams and squads that have been called up to the national team by Greg Berhalter and even previous with Jurgen Klinsmann and shit, I feel like these strikers that we have are really not up to par. And then when you look down the line, I feel like there's look down the line in terms of younger strikers coming up through the ranks. I feel like there's younger strikers out there who do have potential and do have the will to want to be a good and the main striker for the national team, but can they even actually do it? First up, let's go ahead and talk about the strikers we have currently, or the strikers who really have shown up more recently in national team call-ups by the managers of the national team, whether it be, Greg Berhalter, Bruce Arena, any of those people recently. Those main two people that come to mind, of course, being Yazzie Zardes and, of course, Josie Altidore. Two players who I feel like get a lot of stick and a lot of hate from American soccer fans who want to see the national team succeed more. I feel like everyone is in agreement that if we want to be a better team, players like these guys are really not going to cut it anymore. Yazzie Zardes, pretty decent for club level at Columbus Crew, but that's pretty much it. At the national team level, I feel like, yeah, he had a pretty, he had a brace in the last recent USA national team game, I believe, but other than that, I feel like he scores lucky goals. Like some of those goals just bounce off his head, or he was just an open shot. Who wouldn't score those? I think Yazzie Zardes is a pretty good player, but I don't think he's at the level of quality in terms of being the main striker or a striker who we can actually rely on. And for Josie Altidore, I feel like at his best and in his prime, if he's in a good fitness level, and if he's in a good mental place in his head that he wants to, he's good in confidence, I feel like he could be a good striker. But that's all he could be. I think it's just a good striker. I feel his main part of the game is really just hold up play. He's able to hold up play and let quick wingers beside him, whether it be Morris, whether it be Christian Pulisic, run at the defenders and try to make some openings to go in on goal. But other than that, I feel like Josie Altidore is pretty sloppy in terms of finishing. Pretty decent, I guess I'd say, with free kick accuracy, which is kind of weird. But the main thing that holds him back, first of all, is his injury proneness. He's very, very injury prone. Everybody knows that Josie Altidore has a really bad fitness problem that really keeps him out of big tournaments like the 2014 World Cup, or even recently, the last the CONCACAF Nations League. Stuff like that. I feel like we need our main striker. If Josie Altidore is going to be the main striker, then he has to really try hard to be fit. But, sometimes it's not really your fault. Sometimes your body just can't handle, the momentum, or just can't handle playing so much and playing this intensity all the time. So it kind of just breaks down. So I don't really hate Altidore for that. I just don't like him because I don't think he's good enough to be our main striker. So if we also look back at strikers we've lost along the way in the depth of U.S. men's national team players who have made one or two appearances and then kind of fell off. Players like Dom Dwyer. Remember when he switched over to representing the USA from England? Yeah, he came on, scored one or two goals in the first couple appearances he made. And then after that, he kind of went MIA. I feel like everybody totally forgot about him. I was kind of hyped that Dom Dwyer was coming on to, add some more backup to the striker problem we have for the national team. I was like, yeah, this guy's pretty good, pretty strong, pretty pacey. I feel like he's a pretty decent finisher in MLS. But then once he kind of came and got settled, he kind of just faded into the abyss. I know we had some injury problems, but still, even after that, he still was faded away. Another player who kind of faded into the abyss, Aaron Johansson. This player, I feel like a lot of people were kind of excited, half Icelandic, half American. Once he switched over from representing Iceland over to the USA, people were kind of excited, especially after the hype he got from playing in the Dutch league with AZ Alkmaar, the same team where Josie Altor kind of got his breakthrough seasons with, scoring a ton of goals for that club. I think it was believe over 20 goals in like 50 appearances or something like that for Johansson. But after that, after his move to Germany, that's kind of where everything kind of, fell apart. He had some major injury problems and some injury problems that are still kind of chronic. He's had some hip problems that kind of keep him out of the game for a couple of weeks. He's had hip surgery to fix that. But, after all these injuries and surgeries and, recovery, he couldn't cut it at Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga. And unfortunately, he was sold to a team in the Swedish league. I think it was Hammarby. If I say that wrong, first of all, terribly sorry. But also, he currently is playing for that Swedish team, making 10 appearances and scoring 0 goals. It's been a long time since Aaron Johansson has scored double digits. Of course, last time being when he played in the Dutch league like 5 years ago. So Aaron Johansson really not someone I think is in good form or anyone we really could rely on. I see a lot of comments for this dude, so let's just talk about him. The next one, of course, being Bobby Wood, another player who kind of just faded into the abyss of the U.S. men's national team players. This guy, I feel like a lot of people really were kind of hype about him. He was a pacey striker, pretty strong. Of course, his finishing wasn't the best, but I feel like he did open up defenses a lot. He was able to try to make some space. I feel like he really had a lot of motivation to really be the main striker or one of the first teams on the sheet list or on the squad list. But I feel like after a couple injuries or just really not underperforming for his club teams in Germany, which he's been bounced around from Union Berlin to Hamburg, like he's been all over the place, Hanover as well. But after it's been a long time since he scored double digits. The last 3 seasons, I think he's only scored 7 goals for his senior club. After that, this recent season with Hanover, which he's on loan with, scored 0 goals so far in 6 games, playing only 6 games out of 16 total games for his club. So it looks like he's also not getting enough game time to try and fix his momentum. I really don't know what went wrong really with Bobby Wood. It kind of just was random. One day he was always called up, and the next day he just wasn't called up anymore. So that always really makes me wonder. So if our current strikers aren't really up to par with, the rest of the world or, good enough, and the players we've kind of lost in the abyss are also not good enough to call back, then what do? I guess the only option we have is really to just look down the line at the squad sheet and see the younger players coming up through the ranks and see if they are able to fill those gaps up front in the attacking line. Players like Timothy Weah and Josh Sargent are the main 2 players that come to people's minds. I'm sure they're the first 2 players you guys thought about when I mentioned this. First of all, let's talk about Timothy Weah. His father was a really great player. He won the Ballon d'Or. Timothy Weah playing right now for Lille in the French league, Ligue 1. And I feel like even though he's had a pretty severe injuries, he's been off out of the game for a couple months now. I believe he hasn't been playing, but he is excited to get back on the pitch. He is a player who I think is excited and really hungry to be in the senior team and really make a name for himself at the national team level. I feel like that's something he's been craving, something he's been wanting. This kid's been hyped up for like years now. He's only 19 years old, first of all, and I feel like he's been around for a long time. Timothy Weah, I think from what I've seen so far, I don't watch him too much, but the games I have seen and some highlights, he does seem like a good player to have, try to mold him into a good striker with the national team. So I think it's a player who, if he is at 100% fitness level, it's a player we really should be calling up to the front line for the national team. And right beside him, we should also have Josh Sargent. I know everyone says Josh Sargent should be the main striker. What the F is Greg Berhalter doing? Oh, we started Yazzie Zardes over Josh Sargent. Well, Josh Sargent is a player, yes, he is very, very good, very, lots of potential, but I also feel like he doesn't have that much confidence when he does play for the senior national team. I think that's in part to Greg Berhalter really kind of benching him for Zardes instead, like in favor of Zardes. And then, with all that combination, I feel like that really affected Josh Sargent confidence level for the national team, and that's why sometimes he does underperform at that level. but I do think he does have it in him to become a world-class striker and become a striker better than Bobby whatever it was, a better striker than what's that dude's name again? Oh, Yazzie Zardes and Josie Altidore. I feel like he has the potential in him to be a better striker. He's got better hold-up. He has potential to have better hold-up play than Josie Altidore. He's better finishing quality than Zardes and Altidore combined. I don't think he's got that much pace, but still, I feel like this guy is the main target. He's like a target striker. The wingers can feed balls into him, crosses into him. He's tall. He should be strong enough. He can head those balls in. He could be a really good striker if he gets his confidence up, if he gets the support from the manager of the national team. That's what he really needs to back. He needs that backup there. And that just, I feel like the same way, he should get the same treatment as Timothy Weah. These players should get the same treatment in terms of, being backed up by the coach of the national team, and then in turn, their confidence level will be boosted up even higher. So after those two, young prospects coming up through the ranks who have made some senior appearances, is there anyone else down the line even further than that has potential to show up and actually be a good striker? When you look down, I really don't see much. We have people like Jeremy Ebobisse from Portland Timbers, who I feel like mostly plays more on the wings from what I've seen so far. I don't follow Portland too much, so if I'm wrong, feel free to yell at me again. All players like Haji Wright, who's kind of also MIA. Nobody really talks about him anymore, playing in the Dutch league as well. But who else is there, honestly? There really, for me, is not that many options we have so far in terms of strikers. I mean, if you want to go really, really deep, we can talk about players like Sebastian Soto, an 18-year-old kid who's right now playing in Hanover in the Bundesliga, who has been playing really, really well for their youth team. And I feel like he is a player who could have potential to be a player like Josh Sargent, like Timothy Weah, who is going to be able to break through and make a name for himself, hopefully, in the Bundesliga. So, but after that, looking down the line here on the list, I don't see anybody else who sparks an interest for me, who sparks any confidence level, who sparks any readiness to be a main striker or even a substitute striker for the national team. And if you're wondering about a player like Jordan Morris, I consider him more as a winger. Granted, because he has been transformed and molded into playing more on the wings instead of down the middle as a striker. So I don't really count him as a striker on this list. I count him more as a winger. Which, by the way, if you're wondering if we have a winger problem, I don't think so. We got players like Jordan Morris, who's been rejuvenated. We got players like Christian Pulisic. Tyler Boyd's pretty decent. Players like that we have coming up through the ranks, or who are playing right now currently, I think are pretty good. So I really don't think we have any winger problems, but we do have a striker problem. And I hope this video was able to open your guys' eyes to, yes, we actually do have a major striker problem. But as always, I would love to know your thoughts on this topic. Is there any players I have missed that kind of fell into the abyss of the national team, or is there players I missed who are coming up through the ranks that have the potential to be the main striker and actually a good striker for the national team? Let me know what you think down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for kicking it with me. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.